The storm hit Montreal like punishment, pounding against windshields and flooding the empty highway in silver sheets. Marcus Johnson, a black single father running on no sleep and too much worry, gripped the steering wheel of his beat-up sedan. His work boots were still soaked from the double shift, his mind spinning with one thought: 3 weeks until the trial. 3 weeks until the system decided if he lost everything. Then, through the blur of rain, hazard lights blinked weakly ahead. A red luxury car, steam rising from its hood. A woman stood beside it, drenched, phone in hand, shoulders shaking. Marcus slowed. "Keep driving," he muttered to himself. "Not your problem." But he didn't. He couldn't. When he stepped into the rain, she spun around, startled. "Please don't come any closer," she shouted, voice trembling between fear and authority. Marcus raised his hands slowly. "Ma'am, just trying to help. You're not safe out here." That moment, two strangers under a storm, trust hanging by a thread, was where fate took its first breath. Neither of them knew this encounter would decide both their lives. Stay till the end, and don't forget to subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales, where every act of courage finds its echo. The rain didn't let up that night. It hammered the highway, drumming against the hood as Marcus leaned into the wind, tightening the loose cable with shaking fingers. His breath came out in visible bursts. The woman, tall with sharp, composed features, watched him from a cautious distance. Her hair clung to her cheeks, her blouse soaked, her lips trembling between fear and control. "Try it now," Marcus shouted over the rain. She hesitated, then turned the key. The engine coughed, then roared back to life. A flash of relief crossed her face. Brief but real. She opened the door, voice steady again. "You just saved my night." Marcus nodded, stepping back. "Just glad it's running. You didn't even ask for my name." "Doesn't matter," he said quietly. "Just get home safe." She watched him walk away, taillights disappearing into the rain. Something about him lingered, a quiet dignity that didn't fit the story his worn clothes told. 3 weeks later, the same man stood in a courtroom that smelled of old paper and stale coffee. His borrowed suit was a size too big. His tie knotted wrong. His heart beat like the rain that night, steady but heavy. The prosecutor's voice sliced through the air. "Marcus Johnson, embezzlement, fraud, and forgery. $47,000 stolen from Victor Thompson's account." Victor sat smugly at the plaintiff's table, designer suit perfectly pressed, jaw set in a confident grin. The kind of man who'd never worked a hard day in his life but made sure people like Marcus paid for his comfort. Marcus kept his eyes forward, trying not to look like a man already doomed. "Mr. Rodriguez," his public defender whispered. "Keep calm, we'll ask for a review of the evidence. The copies don't add up." "All rise," the bailiff called. The door opened. The judge entered, robes dark as the night Marcus had met her. She sat down with measured authority, eyes unreadable. When Marcus looked up, his breath caught. It was her, the woman from the rain. He froze. The gavel struck. "Court is in session." She didn't acknowledge him. Not a flicker. But something shifted in her tone, almost imperceptible, when she said his name. "Mr. Johnson," Judge Mitchell began, "you understand the charges brought against you?" "Yes, Your Honor," Marcus answered softly. "Proceed." The prosecutor went on, confident, rehearsed. "We have financial records, transaction logs, and signature verifications, all pointing to the defendant." Marcus clenched his fists beneath the table. He wanted to shout, to defend himself, to tell them the truth, that Victor had framed him. But his voice would sound small compared to the man in the $1,000 suit. Then the judge interrupted. "Mr. Davis," she said sharply, "where are the original documents?" The prosecutor blinked. "Excuse me. These are photocopies. No authentication seals, no verified signatures. You're asking this court to imprison a man on paper ghosts." The room fell silent. Victor shifted uneasily. "We'll need forensic examination," she declared. "Until then, this hearing is adjourned." The gavel hit the wood. Marcus exhaled for the first time in weeks. Outside, rain drizzled lightly against the courthouse steps. Mr. Rodriguez laughed in disbelief. "That's the luckiest break I've seen in 20 years. But Marcus didn't believe in luck. Not anymore. For 2 weeks, he went back to work at the freight yard, trying to act normal. The men there talked sports and overtime pay, but Marcus's mind was trapped in that courtroom. He kept replaying her voice. Judge Diana Mitchell. The same calm authority she'd had that night in the rain. One evening, while stacking pallets, his phone rang. Mr. Rodriguez's voice trembled with excitement. "Marcus, it's over. The forensic team found everything. Victor's documents were fakes. Every signature forged. Every email fabricated." Marcus dropped the box he was carrying. "You're saying..." "I'm saying you're free, son. The judge called for an emergency hearing tomorrow." He sat down on the concrete floor, the hum of forklifts fading into silence. Tears mixed with sweat. For the first time in months, he allowed himself to breathe. The next morning, the courtroom buzzed with whispers. Victor looked less confident now. His perfect tie slightly loosened. Judge Mitchell entered, gavel in hand, eyes steady. After reviewing the forensic report, she began. "This court finds the defendant, Marcus Johnson, innocent of all charges." Gasps echoed across the room. Mr. Rodriguez gripped Marcus's shoulder, whispering, "You're free." But Judge Mitchell wasn't finished. Her gaze turned to Victor, sharp as a blade. "Mr. Thompson, the evidence proves you fabricated documents and attempted to pervert the course of justice. You are under investigation for fraud, forgery, and obstruction." Victor's face drained of color. "You can't do that." This court can and will," she replied coldly. "Bailiff, escort him out." As Victor protested, his voice cracked under the weight of justice finally catching up. Marcus stood still, his world spinning, not from fear but from relief. When the gavel struck, it sounded like thunder breaking the clouds. Days passed. Freedom felt unreal. He found a new job at a hardware store, steady hours, real pay. Jasmine, his daughter, drew pictures of Daddy the hero and taped them to the fridge. But there was one thing Marcus couldn't shake: the judge. The woman from the rain. He never got to thank her. It was a quiet Tuesday when she walked into the store. Jeans, sweater, hair down, no robe, no courtroom. Just Diana. "Excuse me," she said with a smile that could stop time. "Do you know where I might find battery terminals?" He turned, heart stopping mid-beat. "It's you." She nodded. "It's me. You knew all along." Her voice softened. "From the moment I saw your name. I couldn't ignore what I knew about your character. That night, you didn't just fix a car. You showed me the kind of man you are." Marcus swallowed hard. "You risked your career." "I risked my conscience if I stayed silent," she replied. "Sometimes justice isn't written in the rulebook." They stood there among shelves of screws and paint cans, two people bound by rain, chance, and courage. Weeks turned to months. They met for coffee, then dinner. Jasmine adored her, called her the magic hammer lady. Diana laughed every time, saying, "It's a gavel, sweetheart, but maybe it's a little magic." For the first time in years, Marcus's home echoed with laughter instead of worry. But life had one more test waiting. Victor, desperate and humiliated, tried to sue for defamation. His lies couldn't survive the sunlight. During his retrial, every forged signature, every fake email was laid bare. He lost everything: his business, his home, his reputation. When the verdict came, Marcus attended quietly from the back of the courtroom. The same judge presided, calm and unmoved. "Mr. Thompson," she said, "the court sentences you to 5 years for fraud and evidence tampering. Actions have consequences. You framed an innocent man. Now you'll pay the price." Victor's glare met Marcus's across the room. But this time it held no power, only shame. Outside, the rain had returned, lighter now, almost gentle. Diana joined Marcus on the courthouse steps. "Poetic, isn't it?" she said softly. The same rain that started it all. He smiled. Guess it washed the lies away. She laughed, a sound warmer than spring after a long winter. You still owe me coffee, Mr. Johnson. He looked at her, eyes full of gratitude and something deeper. How about dinner instead? Months later, under clearer skies, Marcus and Diana stood side by side in a small garden ceremony. Jasmine wore a yellow dress, twirling in the grass. Mrs. Chen cried. Mr. Rodriguez toasted to justice and duct tape miracles. As they exchanged vows, Diana whispered, That night in the rain, you saved me too. You reminded me that mercy isn't weakness. Marcus squeezed her hand. And you proved justice isn't blind. It just needs the right eyes. The crowd applauded as they kissed, laughter mixing with sunlight. But the final scene didn't belong to them. It belonged to Jasmine, grinning, waving at the guests, shouting, See? I told you my dad's a hero. The music swelled, the camera pulling back over the garden, over the city skyline glistening after rain. Because sometimes the smallest choice, a man who stops in the storm, becomes the moment that changes everything. And sometimes the ones who build walls of privilege and lies end up trapped behind them. Marcus didn't need revenge. Justice had already done its work. What began as a night of fear ended as proof that kindness isn't weakness, it's power. Spring arrived quietly in Montreal, soft rain replacing the storms that once haunted Marcus's nights. The city that had once felt cold and endless now shimmered with small signs of peace. Jasmine's laughter in the park, Diana's hand finding his as they crossed the street, the simple rhythm of life rebuilding itself. He no longer looked over his shoulder for judgment or fear. He'd learned that truth, once buried, always rises, even through mud and rain. One evening, as they watched Jasmine chase Bubbles down the sidewalk, Marcus turned to Diana and said, You know, I used to think the world didn't see people like us. She smiled, eyes gentle. Maybe it just needed someone brave enough to stop. He nodded, the weight of everything behind him settling into quiet gratitude. The storms had taught him more than struggle. They'd taught him resilience, grace, and the power of choosing light when darkness seemed easier. Above them, the streetlights flickered against a clearing sky. For the first time, Marcus didn't see the rain as punishment. He saw it as renewal, the sound of the world beginning again. If this story moved you, show it some love. Like, share, and subscribe to Canada's Heartfelt Tales, where real stories remind us that truth, kindness, and courage always find their way home.